Hi guys, John here from Lords of the Old World, and today I'm going to be talking about Age of Sigmar and summoning, and why I think it's actually one of the coolest, most balanced mechanics in the game that adds so much depth to the armies that can do it. So the Stormcast Eternals, the Lizardmen, the Tomb Kings, the Vampire Counts, and to an extent the Beastmen. So, what is summoning? Summoning is, I believe, a way to manipulate the battlefield, to manipulate the sudden death table, and to get an advantage over your opponent um, before the game starts without a huge deficit. So unfortunately, this has been the third time I've tried to record this because YouTube's webcam capture, which is what I had hoped to use, failed a bunch of times, and it was super just frustrating. So I decided to record it here. So anyway, the players then alternate setting up units one at a time, starting with the player that won the earlier dice roll. Models must be set up in their own territory more than 12 inches away from enemy territory. You can continue setting up units until you've set up all the units you want to fight in this battle or have run out of space. This is your army. Count the number of models in your army. This may be useful later on. Any remaining units are held in reserve, playing no part unless fate lends a hand. Now, there is nothing else in this packet that talks about reserves. There's no way to pull reserves onto the board in this packet. It's not like 40k where you roll at the beginning of your turn and a 3+ your reserve comes in from your table edge. There's nothing saying that. So reserves are how you summon and ambush and deep strike. The way the Stormcast Eternals do it is you hold any unit in that formation in reserves, and then they deep strike in, essentially. Using deep strike as a terminology, they come in from reserves anywhere on the table with at least 9 inches away from an enemy, starting on turn 2 or 1 or whatever it is. That's how they work. So you still take 6 War Scrolls in that formation, but you start the game only with however many you want on the table. So if you want to start with only 2 War Scrolls on the table to absolutely justify you getting sudden death scenario, your other 4 come in from deep strike. Summoning is a little bit more random. It's harder to do because you actually have to roll dice to see if you get the guys to come in. It's random on how many models you get depending on how well you roll. But I think that's how it's supposed to work. So we're going to take Tomb Kings as our example. The Tomb King player decides that they're going to use 5 War Scrolls, and their War Scrolls are going to be a Lich Priest, a unit of Skeleton Warriors, a unit of Skeleton Archers, a unit of Tomb Guard, and a unit of Chariots. So he deploys his Lich Priest first, other guy goes. He deploys his Chariots, other guy goes. He passes and holds his unit of Archers, unit of Swordsmen, and unit of Tomb Guard in reserve, which normally you can't get, but since your Lich Priest knows the summon Archers, or raise Skeletons, raise Skeleton Archers, and raise Tomb Guards spells, because you took their War Scrolls as one of your 5 War Scrolls. You took them, which unlocks the raise the Tomb Guard spell. It unlocks the raise Skeleton Archers, and it unlocks raise Skeleton special rules. Your Lich Priest then can decide at any game turn whether or not he's going to raise your Skeletons, your Archers, or your Tomb Guards. The downside is that your maximum number of guys that you can bring is 20, 20, and 10, respectively. So, whereas a normal War Scroll, you can have as many guys as you want. It's a unit of 10 or more models for your Skeleton Warriors. Your summon is a minimum of 10 and a maximum of 20. Your Archers are a maximum of 20 and a minimum of 10. And your Tomb Guard is a minimum of 5 and a maximum of 10, whereas their minimum is a 5, and you can take as many as you want in their actual War Scroll. But you can summon them within 18 inches basically for free. I mean, it casts on a 5 on 2 dice at any point in time. So you deploy your Chariots and your Lich Priest. Your opponent deploys his entire army, because if he stops deploying, say he's playing Bretonnians, he has no way of pulling a guy in from reserves. So he would just start with lower model count. He would start with less war scrolls than you. So he decides to deploy it completely. You get your sudden death scenario, and you're almost always going to want to pick the capture the terrain piece, or have a unit that's completely intact at the end of turn 6, depending on how ballsy you want to be. So turn 4 rolls around, the opposing player, the Bretonnian player, gets to go top of turn 4, so I'm bottom of turn 4. My Lich Priest is still alive. He might only have 1 wound left, but he's still alive. You know what? He's summoning a unit of Tomb Guard within 3 inches of that terrain feature, and the game is over. I won. Or it's bottom of turn 5, we roll, you get top of 6, I get bottom of 6, and now, ta-da! I summon a unit of archers. Well, they actually have to be on the table. That's right. So that one doesn't really work. The capturing the terrain piece, though, will win you the game every time if you can keep your Lich Priest alive until the end of turn 4. That's how I think summoning is supposed to work. It's not over your War Scroll limit. It's your War Scroll limit. So if you set up 2 units, you have 3 in reserve, you can summon 3 units. But you can't summon 6 War Scrolls to a 5 War Scroll game. So let's have some civilized conversation down below. If you think I'm right, if you think I'm wrong, if there's proof that I am wrong, please cite it and post down below. Because everybody that I've talked to so far in my gaming group and on a couple of forum posts that I've made say, duh, this is how summoning is supposed to work. It's supposed to be you can summon your War Scroll onto the table. It's a different way of deploying. It's a surefire way to get first turn or to get a sudden death scenario if you're using them. It's a really interesting mechanic that adds a lot of depth and a lot of versatility. I'm setting up, in my mind, a charge with my unit of chariots, but I don't think that they can actually do enough damage to kill your block of trolls. So I'm going to summon in my Tomb Guard this turn 9 inches away and hope to get a lucky charge in with the Tomb Guard. Or summon in the unit of archers behind the trolls and shoot them this turn, and then try to get a lucky charge off with them, and get the chariots in at the same time. So I can surprisingly overwhelm a unit on the board with the summoning ability. I think that's what it's supposed to be. I think that's how it's supposed to be played, and I think that's how we're going to be playing it from now on in our group. So again, civil conversation down below. MC1 Gamer, I know you want to talk about combinations and unlocking stuff and how army books work. So if you watch this video, this is my suggestion to you for unlocking the Tomb Kings, the Vampire Counts, and the Lizardmen army, is you can have surprise intervention from outside of the table and spring a trap on your opponent. So especially with the release of the new Stormcast Eternal with the crossbows and the bows, taking that formation, holding those guys in reserve until you need them, and boom, boom, deep striking them down, shooting the hell out of a unit before you charge into him with another unit. So let me know what you think. Comments down below, MC1 Gamer. I'd appreciate a response, since you're pretty much the only guy on YouTube right now, other than myself, who seems to like Age of Sigmar and is actually posting content about it. I still think the game is a lot of fun. It's not Warhammer Fantasy. I've played Fantasy since 6th edition, the beginning of 7th, so I'm just as sad as everybody else about rank and file going away, but I'm picking up Age of Sigmar in stride, and I think it's actually an in-depth tactical game, way more than people are suggesting. I love it. So let me know what you guys think in the comment sections down below. Try to keep it civil. If it's not civil, I'm going to delete it. Just because there's enough toxicness on the internet about this game already. I don't want it on my channel. So continued conversation down below, guys. Take it easy, and I'll see you later this week with another video.